Hello.
Hi.
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 Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Independent publishers are a vital part of the publishing industry, helping unheard voices get the spotlight, allowing entrepreneurs to start their bookish dreams, and to open up the industry in many more ways. Indies are arguably the ones that take more risks and have more time to spend on author connections. We hear a lot about the big five, but today I want to talk about some independent publishing houses so you can hear their stories on what makes them fab and to raise awareness of them. An obligatory shout out goes to Lauren Steele, who founded the Indie List, a section on her website that lists indies from A to Z, and I'll link this down below for you to check out afterwards. So I wanted to know what makes some of these independent publishers unique, what makes them special.
Little Island Books was founded in 2010 by Ireland's first ever children's laureate, Siobhan Parkinson. Since then we've published over 100 books for young readers. Almost half of those books have either won or been listed for major awards, and in 2019 we were delighted to be the first ever regional winner for Ireland of Small Press of the Year at the British Book Awards.
So we're interested in publishing books on the great themes of our time. We've got gender and power. We've got climate breakdown. We have artificial intelligence and the social industries, racism, the movement of peoples, feminism, and a touch of humour to cheer us all up at the end of that.
We believe that Honno is the longest standing women's press in the UK, and 35 years after we were founded, we're still publishing great writing by the women writers of Wales, both classic and contemporary.
We're all about addressing inequality in our publishing.
Our books are carbon positive and they're printed by one of the most environmental printers in the UK.
Everything we do is with a social conscience, which means that we're ethical from the paper that we use, to the way that we ship our books, and to the way that we work with our authors.
We're the only UK-wide independent women's press left now. All the others have been bought up by the big presses.
Seren is a leading independent literary publisher specialising in English language writing from Wales. In 2021, we're celebrating our 40th anniversary. Authors we publish have won many prizes, including the Costa Poetry and First Novel Awards, Forward Prizes, and Jerwood Fiction Uncovered Prize. We publish a range of titles across poetry fiction and non-fiction.
We are fantastic because we publish all sorts of novels and fiction for children and young people. So that is from age 8 up until the age of 25 plus. And a lot of our books have got mental health as a central theme or emotional development as a central theme.
With the children's picture books that we publish at Formy Books, we aim to increase positive Black representation and amplify the talent of Black creators.
I guess the biggest question, if you're not already convinced, is why should we be supporting these independent publishers? Here to tell you more is the independent publishers themselves.
Every habitat to be healthy has to have a good biodiversity, and I think that's what independent publishers do all around the world.
Because we're doing groundbreaking work, we're being experimental, we're taking risks, and also we're making sure we publish narratives which are not represented well enough in the mainstream.
Indies have so much passion about the books that they're publishing. It's really important to support wherever possible so that we can continue to make the books that we love and that hopefully everyone else loves.
Independent presses are a hugely important part of our cultural life. They're prepared to take risks, invest in new and unusual writing, tell untold stories, both contemporary and classic. Support independent publishers.
You should buy your books from independent publishers. We spend a lot of time developing our own taste. We can take more risks than corporate publishers. We're really devoted to developing our wonderful writers and also to developing our relationship with you, our readers.
Independent publishers are leading the way in breaking new talent, particularly from underrepresented backgrounds. We support new, undiscovered voices, writing about regions and communities often overlooked by the industry. We also build strong relationships with our authors and readers.
Independent publishers are a vital part of the literary ecosystem. We often give opportunities to authors to find a route to publication for their book, which they wouldn't find elsewhere. Anyone who is interested or concerned with inclusivity in the publishing industry and in the book trade and in the books that are available, and the possibility of talented new writers finding avenues to break through, needs to value and support independent publishers.
So if you're passionate about diversity and difference, then you should support independent publishing, because we can take on all of the niche titles that the bigger publishers can't.
Showcasing work is so important, and so this video would not be complete without showing you some of the books I received from independent publishers. I'm very grateful to have received Infinitely Full of Hope by Repeater Books, Here to Stay by Repeater Books, Sometimes a River Song by Renard Press, and The Longest Farewell by Seren Books.
Our first book we ever published was this wonderful historical novel by Ruth Estevez, who's a Manchester-based author, called Gidi Vardy, and it's set in 1790 Yorkshire, Robin Hood's Bay, which was the epicentre of smuggling in the UK, believe it or not, easily alongside Cornwall, rival to Cornwall. And this novel is a fantastic story of a young woman who at 16 becomes one of the leading smugglers of her time, and it's based, believe it or not, partially on a true story, which Ruth discovered when she was doing some searching through second-hand bookshops in Yorkshire a few years ago, and it's a wonderful novel. Not the final cover, this is our proof copy. It's published on the 10th of May. Fantastic. The cover is fantastic when it's done, and it is a novel about a young woman who develops bipolar disorder or hypomania. And the beauty of this novel is it's not just the story of Yan, who's a half Chinese, half British young woman who develops hypomania while in London with her best friend Chelsea while they're looking at universities, but it's also got throughout the novel, it's got this wonderful theme of fan fiction. So there's two worlds in this novel. There's the worlds of Yan and Chelsea, but there's also the world of Nordhelm, which is a Swedish Viking fan fiction sort of saga that both girls are completely obsessed about and write stories around. Wonderful novel for teenagers and a fantastic way to teach both young people but also teachers and therapists about the realities of developing bipolar disorder. One of her other novels is a series of novels called Gangster School by Kate Wiseman. Kate's a very, very good writer. She writes very funny stories, and kids across the UK have loved these books. All about Millie and Charlie, two children who are good kids who get sent to Blackguards, the school for tomorrow's tyrants, and how they survive the school as good kids because they're sent there to sort of train to be gangsters, but actually they're really good children. It's very, very funny. A whole cast of very funny comic characters that boys in particular love, but girls love it too. So that's a really good series of books. We've also dipped our toe in the water around translations. We're really interested in taking stories that don't originate in the UK but originate overseas, children's fiction, and to translate them into English. And this one is Le Grimoire, and it's based on a French novel that won lots of awards in France back in the 1990s. And this is a fantastical story about how two boys discover a recipe for an invisible ring. And they make the invisible ring and all sorts of adventures occur. Really, really good novel by Eric Bossert.
It's hard to choose just one, but one of our most popular poets is Kim Moore, whose debut collection The Art of Falling won the Geoffrey Faber Memorial Prize. Kim's highly anticipated second collection, All the Men I Never Married, is forthcoming on the 4th of October. Here are a selection of titles published by Seren.
Tomorrow is Too Late is an anthology of essays. The editor is a 15-year-old homeschool climate activist. These are written by youth climate activists from all over the world, from Afghanistan to Argentina, Pakistan to Palestine, from Burundi to Brazil.
Little Island has just published this really magical special book for readers aged around 9 to 12 called Wolf's Tongue by Sam Thompson, illustrated by Anna Tromop. It's a beautiful story about humans and animals and the natural world, power of words and language, and neurodiversity and acceptance.
This is The Queen of Romance, the untold story of Marguerite Jervis, one of the best-selling romance novelists of her time, a dramatic life, driven, determined woman. How did she go from that to lying in an unmarked grave?
These were the 4 books that we published last year, and this year one of the books we're excited about is an anthology called O, which is poems about female masturbation and orgasms and pleasure with a bit of defiance mixed in there.
The books that I wanted to highlight with you today have got 3. So Orders F-U-C-K by Anne Walsh Donnelly. This is her first full collection following up on her debut collection, which won 2nd place at the International Poetry Book Awards. This one is obviously brave, in your face, but also looks at coming out in your 50s and what kind of mental health struggle that is in a conservative Irish family. Then we've got Modern Medicine by Lucy Hurst. This is her debut. It looks at disability in a really frank and sardonic way, and I love the language and the experimentation with form in this one. This is also poetry. And we've got a non-fiction book which has interviewed loads of small presses all across the UK so that we can give this to people with a manuscript, say a creative writing student, who wants to find a really personal experience with a publisher. Probably just gets handed the top 5 in their creative writing courses. So this is for them.
This is our first picture book, Later. It's an Afro-Caribbean story of a stay-at-home dad with his children at home waiting for mum to come home from work.
So we're really proud of all of the books we've worked on so far, and we've got some great ones coming up, but I suppose if I've got to choose one that I'm really proud of that we've done so far, it's going to be Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf, because it just shows our stunning attention to detail and quality that we go for.
I've worked with independent publishers and I'm grateful for the teams for sharing their thoughts for this video, but now it's your turn. Check out their details below, buy yourself a treat from one of their websites, and take a risk on them like they take a risk on you. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to support your independent publishers.